Well, good morning, boys and girls. This is Miss Nancy from the Upper Chichester Library in Upper Chichester, Pennsylvania. And it's story time again. Today I have chosen an old-time fairy tale, which you may have heard and had read to you in other storybooks. But I love the illustrations in this particular storybook, all about the three little pigs. So you'll probably know the story, but the pictures are just great. A mother pig has three baby pigs. One day she says, "You've grown too big for my little house. It's time you had houses of your own." The three little pigs trot down the road. "Goodbye," calls Mother Pig. "Build your houses and never open the door to the big bad wolf. He'll eat you." So, the first little pig met a man walking along the road, and he has big bunches of straw on his back. "Please give me some straw," says the little pig. The man gives him a load of straw. The little pig builds his house, and as you can see, it looks like a nicely well-built straw house. He is very proud of it. It has 2 doors, 2 windows, and a fine roof. "I'll be safe and snug inside," he says to himself. In the meantime, the second little pig meets a man, and he has a big load of sticks on his back. "Please give me some sticks," said the little pig. The man gives him a load of big sticks. It has strong walls, 2 doors, 2 windows, and a chimney. "I'll be safe and snug inside," he says. And that does look like a very nice, snug house. Very well built. Then the third little pig meets another man. He has a load of bricks in his wheelbarrow. "Please give me some bricks," says the little pig. The man gives him all he needs for his house. And look at this beautiful house he built. It has thick walls, it has 2 doors, it has 2 windows, and a chimney. "I'm not afraid of the big bad wolf," he says. Now, the wolf comes to the straw house, and he says, little pig, let me in." "No, Mr. Wolf," says the pig, "not by the hair of my chinny chin chin." The wolf huffs and puffs and blows the house down. The little pig runs to the stick house as fast as he can to get away from that bad wolf. Soon the wolf comes to the door. "Little pigs, let me in," he says. "No, no, we won't, not by the hairs of our chinny chin chins." The wolf huffs and he puffs and he blows the house down. He is really a good huffer and puffer, isn't he? The 2 little pigs run to the brick house, and soon the wolf comes to the door of the brick house. Little pigs, let me in," he says. "No, no, no, we won't by the hairs of our chinny chin chins." The wolf huffs and he puffs. He huffs and he puffs, and he puffs and he huffs. But he can't blow the brick house down at all. He looks around for a way in. So he sees the chimney, and he jumps up onto the roof, as you can see. He looks down in the chimney. The 3 little pigs put a big pot of water on the stove. "We're ready now," says one. The wolf slides down the chimney. He falls into the big pot of water. One little pig puts on the lid. Well, that's the end of the big bad wolf. An old fairy tale, but I loved the pictures. I hope you enjoyed them too. This came from a book called The Osborne Book of Fairy Tales, and it was by Stephen Cartwright and Heather Amory. Now, another story I thought I would read to you. It's a short story from Snow White. Snow White, of course, is another famous fairy tale, but this does not tell the traditional story of Snow White. It's a Walt Disney version, and it's called What a Surprise, and it's mainly a story about Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Again, I like the illustrations in these Disney books. What a surprise. The Seven Dwarfs had an unexpected guest. She was the beautiful, kind-hearted princess, Snow White. She had chosen their very own cozy cottage to come for her home. To show them how much she appreciated staying with them, she had cleaned the cottage from top to bottom and cooked them a delicious soup for their dinner. That night, as they danced and sang around with their new friends, the dwarfs thought how much merrier Snow White made everything seem. The next morning, Doc asked the other dwarfs to gather round. "Men," he said, "let's do something nice for the princess today. After all, she's been awfully nice to us. I mean, nice to us. That is, she's been nice to us." The dwarfs nodded their heads in agreement, and it was quickly decided that they would do all the chores that day. But their lively discussion of who should do what was suddenly interrupted when Snow White appeared at the top of the stairs. "Well, I see you're all up bright and early," Snow White called cheerfully. She stretched and she rubbed her eyes. "Did you sleep well, Princess?" Happy asked. "Oh, yes," Snow White replied. "I was dreaming that my handsome prince carried me off to his castle on a beautiful white horse." "Well, you just go right back to sleep and dream," Doc told her. "We'll see to everything." Snow White thanked the dwarfs with a sleepy smile, and she returned to bed. Downstairs, the dwarfs finished dividing up the chores and set to work. Dopey and Sleepy took charge of fixing breakfast. Sleepy gathered the silverware. In no time at all, his eyes had dropped shut, and his snores were filling the cottage. That's how he gets his name, Sleepy. But Dopey didn't notice. He was too busy concentrating. After all, he had never made gooseberry muffins before. Dopey got out a large bowl. In it he placed lots of flour, some eggs, a little sugar, and a cup of milk. Actually, those are the things you would normally make cupcakes with. Then he stirred it all together until it looked wet and lumpy. Then he spooned the batter into a muffin tin and placed the tin in the oven. Here are the muffins right there. Pleased with himself, he picked up a basket and went outside to pick gooseberries. Poor Dopey, he didn't know he was supposed to gather the berries first. To make matters worse, he didn't know he had to start the oven. Sounds like he has not made muffins before. Out by the wood pile, Grumpy was chopping kindling for the fire. The chop, chop, chop of his axe made a rhythm almost like a little song. Grumpy said to himself, "Maybe I'll make up a tune for Snow White. She did make supper for us after all." So he stopped chopping and began to whistle a tune. But after a few notes, he grumbled and started again. But then, Grumpy grumbled over almost anything. That just was his way. Over by the stream, Doc and Bashful were washing clothes. Doc dunked the laundry in a big tub of soapy water. Clean as a clean as a whistle, Doc said proudly. Meanwhile, Bashful had rigged up a clothesline by tying a piece of rope between two trees. As Doc handed him the clean clothes, Bashful hung them up. One by one, Bashful hung up socks, shirts, and a hat to dry. As each piece of wet clothing was added, the line sagged lower and lower. Doc handed Bashful one last pair of pants and strolled past him toward the cottage. "Hurry up and finish now," Doc called. "We've still got more work to do." Well, Bashful nodded, then he carefully placed the pants on the clothesline and turned to follow. The second his back was turned, the line gave way. The clean clothes all landed with a splosh on the muddy ground. In the meantime, Happy and Snoozy were busy collecting wildflowers in the woods. "Do you think Snow White will like these?" Happy asked, holding up the colorful flowers. "She sure, achoo!" Sneezy sneezed. Happy looked down at the flowers. Sneezy Snooze had knocked all the flowers off their stems. "Gesundheit," said Happy. "Goodness, Sneezy, this is taking a lot longer than I thought. But no matter, it is a lovely day to be outside." When Happy and Sneezy finally had enough wildflowers to take home to Snow White, they headed back to the cottage. There the rest of the dwarfs were waiting, restless with excitement. "Shall I go upstairs and wake the princess?" Doc asked, but before the men could answer, a low buzzing sound filled the cozy room. "What's that?" wondered Sleepy, who had been awakened by the noise. Sounds like, Grumpy began. "Bees!" the other dwarfs shouted together. They stared as a cloud of insects rose out of Happy and Sneezy's bouquet of flowers and began to fly around in great buzzy circles. "What should we do?" wondered Sneezy as one of the insects circled his nose, making a twitch. "Run!" cried Bashful. "Run! The bees will sting you." Snow White was awakened from her dreams by the clatter as the dwarfs fled out of doors. Then, as she looked around the cottage, she guessed what the dwarfs had been up to. She could see the table and the dirty bowl from Dopey's baking. "How sweet," she said with a smile. "I don't want to ruin their surprise for me, so I'll just give them a little help." And she set to work. The first thing she did was make a new batch of muffins, adding the gooseberries before pouring the batter into the tin. Then she put some kindling in the oven and lit it. Soon a cheerful fire glowed inside. "That's better," she exclaimed, as she popped the muffins into the oven. Next, Snow White picked up the forks and spoons and knives that Sleepy had taken out earlier and put them in their proper places. Snow White stepped outside the cottage and looked around. Where had all the dwarfs gone? Soon she saw the pile of muddy laundry. Quickly, Snow White put the line back up, washed the clothes again, and hung them out to dry. As soon as she finished, she heard the crunch, crunch, crunch of leaves in the forest as the dwarfs marched back to the house. "Oh dear," she said to herself, "I'd better get back inside, and quickly too." She did not want them to catch her redoing their jobs. "That's the trouble with flowers," Grumpy muttered as the dwarfs approached the clearing. "They look sweet, but inside they're nothing but trouble." "Now, Grumpy," Doc scolded him, "it's the bees who cause the the bees who cause the trouble, not the flowers." "Shh!" Happy warned them as they reached the door to the cottage. "You don't want to wake the princess up until we're ready." "Right," agreed Bashful as he went in. Inside, the delicious smell of freshly baked muffins surrounded them. They all agreed, and Dopey silently puffed out his chest with pride, because he thought he had made them. Sleepy was proud too. He sat down to admire the table and promptly fell asleep. But Doc was too excited to notice. "You men wait down here," he commanded as he crept up the stairs. "Oh, Princess," he called, rapping on the bedroom door. Snow White opened the door, yawning and stretching, acting like she had been asleep all along. "Surprise!" cried the dwarf. "Breakfast is served," added Doc. He led Snow White downstairs. "Oh my," Snow White said, as Bashful pulled out her chair. "Now don't you do a thing," Happy told her. "Today is your day to rest." They all sat down to a feast of warm gooseberry muffins. "What a wonderful job you did," Snow White said appreciatively. The dwarf smiled. Snow White certainly seemed to be quite pleased. After they had gone, Grumpy herded them all over to the organ. "He made up a song especially for you, Princess," the Doc told her. Snow White clapped her hands in delight. The dwarfs watched as she danced in time to the music. "Grumpy, isn't that the same song you played last night?" Happy called. "I thought it sounded familiar," Grumpy muttered. "Oh, I don't mind," Snow White reassured him. "I love it just as much this morning as I did it last night." Then Doc told Snow White how they had also chopped the wood and done the laundry so she wouldn't have to lift a finger all day long. "Thank you," Snow White replied. "Thank you for everything. I may be a princess, but today I feel like a queen." It was true. She herself had had to bake the muffins and set the table and wash the laundry. But Snow White didn't mind. She had discovered how much her new friends cared for her. And that, she sighed as she closed her eyes for the night, is the best surprise anyone could wish for. The 7 dwarfs decided to surprise their friend Snow White. But things got in a muddle, and she had to set things right. The princess didn't mind, because she saw how hard they tried to show her in so many ways the love they felt inside. Now this is a book that reassures us that, people who love us do things for us. And maybe those of you who are listening to this story could help your mother out in the kitchen sometime, or at least help her out by putting some of your toys away. Okay, now our last story for today is called The Paw Patrol. This is another Disney story, and this it's a short story that comes from the Lion King saga. It's called The Paw Patrol. Oh, it's an interesting looking animal. Timon and Pumbaa waited and waited and waited. They were supposed to meet Simba at Pride Rock over an hour ago, but he still was not there. "What did I tell you?" Timon complained to Pumbaa. "A guy becomes king and suddenly he forgets about the little people, the ones who knew him when he was all alone with no one to turn to." "I heard that," called Simba as he came up behind his buddies. "I didn't forget you. There was an emergency. A whole herd of elephants slipped on some banana peels. Why can't those monkeys remember to clean up after themselves?" Pumbaa looked confused. "I thought Monkeys never forgot, he said. Oh, that's elephants, answered Timon, rolling his eyes. Elephants never forget. The three pals headed off to enjoy a lazy day in Pride Lands. Ah, together again, finally, said Timon. Yes, agreed Simba. Hakana Matata. No worries, at least for one afternoon. Lately, Simba just didn't seem to have as much time to spend with his old friends. Being the Lion King meant that Simba was always needed for something. Oh, Simba, oh, Simba, Zazu's voice came drifting up from behind them. Come quick! One of the cubs has its head stuck in a tree again. Then the cranky hornbill turned to Timon and Pumbaa. It's all your fault, he declared, teaching the cubs how to hunt for bugs. Disgraceful behavior, simply disgraceful. What's eating him? Asked Pumbaa. Oh, nothing, answered Timon. He's too tough and gamey. Simba laughed. Very funny, but seriously, guys, I'm sorry, I've got to go, but I'll catch up with you later. Simba, asked Pumbaa, do you like being the Lion King? I mean, isn't it an awful lot of responsibility? Well, sure, answered his friend, but I like having everyone depend on me to keep them safe. It makes me feel as if I'm doing something that really matters. As Pumbaa and Timon watched Simba head off with Zazu, Timon shook his head. Just listen to him, said Timon in disgust. Is he a boar or what? Pumbaa looked confused. I thought I was the boar, he said. Timon gave his pal a playful tap. Oh, well, said Timon. At least we don't have any responsibilities to tie us down. Let's go have some fun. What do you say? I say, Hakuna Matata, Pumbaa replied. Exactly, agreed Timon. And so the two wandered off into the bush, looking for grubs and whatever other adventure might come their way. Soon Pumbaa's stomach began to rumble, so he and Timon stopped to rustle up some grubs for lunch. I guess they like to eat grubs. While Pumbaa rooted around under a rock, Timon stuck his head in a tree the way he had taught the cubs to do. Boy, Timon, it sure is hot, Pumbaa called. I'm sweating like a pig. In this picture, I want you to notice all these interesting bugs that they have shown. Timon emerged from the tree with a leaf full of colorful insects. You're not kidding, he told Pumbaa. I'm on fire. The warthog looked up from his bug hunting. Yikes, he cried, his eyes opening wide. If we don't watch it, we both will be. Timon whirled around and saw that the grass just behind them was on fire. Right now the flames were small, but with all the dried brush around them, Timon knew the fire could grow fierce in no time at all. Let's go get Simba, shouted Pumbaa. He'll know what to do. There's no time for that, Timon declared. It's up to us. Have you got any ideas? I know, Pumbaa exclaimed. How about I stay here and keep everyone away while you go to the water hole? I don't have time for a dip, Pumbaa. This is serious, Timon yelled. No, I meant maybe there will be someone there who can help us, Pumbaa explained. So Timon ran to the water hole as fast as he could, while Pumbaa posted himself as guard near the fire. He wanted to make sure it didn't get out of control. Don't worry, Timon called over his shoulder. Everything's going to be all right. Pumbaa paced nervously, glancing back at the fire every few seconds. Soon, in the distance, he could make out some shapes moving quickly toward him. That must be Timon coming back with help already. What a relief, he sighed. But as the shapes got closer, he could see it wasn't Timon at all. It was a herd of zebras on the move. Pumbaa ran toward them, whooping as loudly as he could, but they didn't seem to hear him. "Hey, stop!" he screamed as the herd thundered closer. Then, just as Pumbaa closed his eyes, expecting the worst, the animals came to an abrupt halt right in front of him. Pumbaa let out a sigh of relief and explained to the zebras all about the fire. The leader of the herd was grateful and quickly led the animals away from the blaze. As Pumbaa watched the babies tagging along after their mothers, he felt happy knowing he had kept them all out of danger. Moments later, Timon arrived, and who did he bring? He was followed by a very long line of elephants. "Did I strike it big or what?" Timon called, gesturing toward the elephants. "Pumbaa, meet the fire brigade." While Timon yelled out directions, the elephants sprayed the fire with water from their trunks. "That's the way. Just a little more and this fire will be history," Timon told them. As you know, that's how elephants get water. They can just pick it up with their trunks, and then they can squirt it out. And that's exactly what they did to get rid of the fire. A small elephant approached and blasted Timon with his trunk. "You gotta work on your aim, kid," said Timon, shaking the water from his body. By the time Simba arrived, all that remained of the blaze were delicate wisps of smoke curling into the afternoon sky. "I came as soon as the zebras told me," said Simba, "but it looks like you two handled things on your own." Pumbaa looked proud while Timon acted embarrassed. "Oh, go on, it was nothing really. So we saved the Pride Lands. It's all in a day's work for me and Pumbaa here," Timon explained. A slow smile spread across Simba's face. A day's work. That gives me an idea," he said. "Since you guys get around so much," Simba suggested, "how would you like to be the official fire patrol in the Pride Lands? That is, if it wouldn't be too much responsibility." "Okay, here's the deal," Timon replied. "If we're going to start acting responsible, you're going to have to lighten up a little. Stop and smell the stink bugs, for Pete's sakes. Is that a deal?" "Deal," Simba agreed, bounding off into the distance. "Last one to the water hole's a rotten ostrich egg." "Look who's all fired up now," wisecracked Timon, climbing onto Pumbaa's back. "Ah, just like the old days," Pumbaa said cheerfully, as they took off, running after their pal, the Lion King. Pumbaa and Timon thought that Simba was no fun, because since their pal became king, his work was never done. Then they found out for themselves how good it feels inside to have a job to call your own, one you can do with pride. So that is the end of our story time today, but I do want to make a couple of announcements related to our book sale and our 20th anniversary. First of all, the annual book sale is coming, as I've mentioned before. It will start on Wednesday, September the 8th. It starts at 10 a.m. and goes till 8 p.m. Then on Thursday and Friday, it will be 8 a.m. till 8 p.m. And it's going to be up in the Upper Chichester Township Municipal Building, which is on Fury Road. Then Saturday, it will be from 8 o'clock till 3 o'clock. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention is that after the book fair, on Saturday the 10th at 5 p.m., we are going to have a celebration of the 20th anniversary of the library. It will be also there at the Upper Chichester Township Municipal Building. Mr. Andrew is going to come, and he will be providing us with live entertainment. And we're celebrating the 20 years of service along with our community, which has helped our library to grow. There will be some food trucks there. There will also be some antique cars on display for people to enjoy. So come one, come all. We look for you there or at the library where you can pick up books to borrow, or at the sale where you can pick up books to buy. Bye for now. See you next time.